Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Keji Moses, Rhonda Bompensa-Zimmerman, and Andrew Baharlias. Today, I want to ask the question, how do you deal with getting the silent treatment? Andy, can you kick us off?
Personally, I don't deal with it well. And when I saw the topic, it made obviously my mind go into a million places, because the frame of reference here, are we talking only in the business world, or are we talking about completely in our entire lives? And if only in the business world, maybe the best approach to the conversation is flipping it on its head, is when is it actually appropriate to give the silence treatment as opposed to how you respond to it? I know I don't like the silence treatment. I would not go so far as to say that it's unprofessional, but it can be borderline unprofessional, because it tends to represent a complete and utter breakdown in communications. We're talking about business and we're talking about objectives being met. The silent treatment doesn't get you any closer to that. And so how you deal with that as a person can be very, very multifaceted, can be very, very personal to the individual. And always, and you'll hear me say this word over and over in all these quick hits, very narrowly tailored to the situation and the person.
I'd like to explore maybe why someone's giving me the silent treatment. Was my behavior in a way unintentionally or intentionally conductive to maybe me receiving the silent treatment, and just sit with a little bit. And then if I've done something unconsciously, like to reach out, apologize, if I really feel that I've done something, I'm acknowledging my behavior, and then give them some space. Particularly if I didn't respect a boundary. And I see this more in my personal life than my professional life. It's important to understand maybe what we've done that might have prompted this. And if we haven't, it's important to be mindful of the fact that maybe it has nothing to do with us. Maybe it's something going on with the other person or organizations that's the reason for them not responding to us in a professional way.
Yeah. So for me, I was thinking about this, and there's a difference between having a moment of silence, which is a period of silent contemplation. So it's a time of reflection, and being given silent treatment. I think the intention is the important part in trying to differentiate between the two, and how you communicate it is also very important. I've had moments where I've wanted that silent moment to myself, but I've communicated it with people that are with me and around me. And I refuse to engage in silent treatment. That behavior, I don't tolerate it. I do not engage with it. Neither do I feel that energy or try to match it. I just literally just disengage. And if the person wants to reconnect with me, that's fine. And we can have that conversation. We can speak about it. But I don't feel that energy, because when I was growing up, that was used as a way to control and manipulate. And so I don't like it.
I do feel like it's the person with the power who has the ability to use silence as a weapon. I think that that's part of it. I know for the kind of work that I do, obviously, is very personal. I have a very personal, emotional relationship with my clients. And so sometimes if I feel like I'm not getting responses, I may say, this seems like it might be a tough topic for you. Maybe this is a difficult conversation. Conflict isn't easy. Sometimes I'll just say, I don't know what the right question is to ask right now. What do you need from me? And so if I feel like someone's giving me the silent treatment because they feel like it's awkward, that's different than if I feel like they're giving the silent treatment because they're not willing to engage in the difficult conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've been blessed really the last 4 years in my current position with Hikma. I've never had a situation where either I've given someone the silent treatment, which is really not sort of in my DNA, I'm a big talker, or someone has given me the silent treatment. It's been a fantastic 4 years in that respect. But I've been in positions in the past where I've been given the silent treatment by my actual direct manager, anti-productive. Overcoming things like that can be nearly impossible, because when you're dealing with it on a manager and employee relationship, it really could be the signal of an absolute irreconcilable difference.
I had something like that happen to me early on in my career as a director of fitness and wellness at a university, a startup gym. My direct report, like the only engagement he had with me was to criticize something that I was doing. And so that created issues with trust and my ability to effectively communicate with him, because he just wasn't open to it. Long story short, 3 years later, when emotionally I had enough and I knew I was doing the best I could with my role and trying to separate that disconnect with him and I, when I turned in my resignation, he finally apologized and admitted he had disrespected me. He had kind of given me the silent treatment, and he didn't value me as a person. And he broke down crying. And here it was something again that transpired in his life where he made an error on the job and he was under a lot of stress. So I think the more we can have conversations about how we feel when someone gives us the silent treatment, or maybe again, we have to set boundaries about what we're open to discussing, I think that can do a lot, especially today in a technology-driven world where a lot of communication is misinterpreted via text and people expect you to be available like 5 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. I do feel like the silent treatment is different than being ghosted. And that's a challenge that I have, is that it hasn't happened to me in a long, long time, but many, many years ago, I had someone ghost me. And the thing that for me was really strange was, just tell me you don't want to talk to me. Literally a text message that says, I don't want to talk to you. Oh, okay. That's so much easier than just, I have to make up that, okay, well, you're not answering my calls, you're sending me to voicemail, and you're not responding to my text messages. Okay, 15 messages ago, we could have figured out you didn't want to talk to me.
At the same token on that, and now we're shifting more into like a personal type of one-on-one. One of my closest friends in the world is a gentleman who just, I guess the only way to put it is as it pertains to communication skills, he's just a little bit not all the way there. And he often retreats into himself for periods of time that sometimes go on for almost a year. I've been friends with this person for nearly 30 years now. Sometimes what I perceive is the end of this relationship, simply because it's like, I don't want to chase this person anymore. But, the only way we got past this was an actual sit down where I sort of had to air the grievance of, look, I'm not going to chase you. If you're going to retreat into yourself, you kind of have to give me just a little bit of notice, so I understand that you need this space and that it's not the silent treatment. It's just who he is.
Interesting.
So the question I wanted to ask is, does it reflect on an individual's level of emotional intelligence?
Yeah, so I think that it reflects on their ability to handle conflicts, because most often people engage in the silent treatment when the conversation that needs to be had is difficult, or they don't want to have it. So I think it reflects on either power, I'm just not going to talk to you, or I don't want to have this conversation and it's easier for me to just ignore you. And it may not even be conscious. I think it's possible that for some people it's procrastination in response because they don't know how to respond. And then, oh, now it's 3 days, and oh, now it's a week, and now I'm embarrassed, and now what do I do? And so I think that having that conversation is the best thing to do, which is why I love saying, I don't know what the right question to ask is here. Maybe it's, and then I'll pick a question. Are you okay? Do we have a problem? Did my email get lost? I'll pick a question and then I'll leave it in their court. And I may check in one more time just to make sure the cyber spider didn't eat my correspondence, or, pick a different channel to reach out to them. But is it emotional intelligence? Possibly. I also think it's conflict resolution ability as well.
Yeah. And I think it's also important, if the person re-engages, it's important to have the conversation. Just to let them know whether that behavior is acceptable, or else it becomes a repetitive cycle, and it could be quite draining. I've been in situations where it's been quite draining, not having that difficult conversation, and it's important to have those difficult conversations to be able to move on, or we'll grow together or we'll grow apart.
I would sprinkle in a little bit of self-respect and respect of others too. So
What a
Nice.
great way for us to end the conversation, that you have to have the conversation about silence or it's going to continue to happen. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking to each of you again really soon.